What's happening, people? Welcome to Love and Life. Sitting out here chilling. It's a beautiful day. Just had a few thoughts I want to share as quick as I can. And it's, should Christians be preppers? And why doesn't the church teach on preparedness? So it's always kind of bugged me. You know, you go to church, you hear about prosperity, you hear about the love of God, you hear about love one another, and things like that. Pretty much the basics, but it never gets really deep on things are getting bad in the world, and people need to start preparing for the worst while at the same time having that hope in God for the best. But the word prepared, in the Bible, the word prepare is mentioned 159 times throughout the Old Testament and New Testament. Prepare for the return of Jesus. Prepare your mind. Prepare for the future. Prepare food, etc., etc. And there are two types of preparedness that go hand in hand. One is spiritual and one is physical. And one without the other is not going to bode well for somebody who's just doing one instead of the other. You have to do both. There's great examples throughout the Bible of people in the Old Testament and New Testament preparing. Two of my favorite stories of God letting know to someone that they need to prepare. One is definitely Noah. And he told Noah, you're going to have to build this ark. You're going to have to gather some animals. You're going to have to gather the food. I think it was like 75 years, maybe 80 years for Noah to build that ark. But Noah didn't wait until it started raining. He got on it as soon as God told him, it's going to get really bad here in a few years. So start getting your act together and prepare yourself. People made fun of him. People mocked him because it never rained on the earth during that time. But Noah did what he was told. Another story is Joseph. A lot of people know him as, he had the coat of many colors, and his father loved him so much. His brothers sold him out to some Egyptians, and he ended up rising up in the ranks of Egypt, and he had a dream. And in this dream, there were 7 fat cows. And then during the dream, he ended up seeing 7 skinny cows, real skinny, famished. And basically, it wasn't his dream, it was the king's dream. And the king had no idea what it meant. But he knew that Joseph could kind of like decipher dreams. So he called for Joseph, and Joseph told him that what God is telling you is that there's going to be 7 years of plenty. 7 years of plenty. That's what the 7 fat cows meant. And after that, there's going to be 7 years of famine. And that's what the skinny cows were. And so the king asked Joseph, he goes, well, what should we do? And Joseph was saying, well, we'll take a percentage of all the grain and food that we have, and we'll set it aside, and we'll put them in barns, We'll put them in buildings and things like that. So that way, when the famine does come, we've already prepared for 7 years, for 7 years of famine. And so that way, nobody would starve, which is great because that's what God does. God gives us a heads up, but too many of us are distracted and we don't pay attention. We get lost in our jobs. We get lost in, just doing daily things. And the thing is that God's not given us a spirit of fear, but He's given us a spirit of power, love, and sound mind. And God is a God of preparedness and organization. We got a few scriptures here just to expound on that from the New Living Translation. I'm sure everybody's got a different translation of the Bible, but this is from the New Living Translation. This is 1 Corinthians 14:40. Be sure that everything is done properly and in order. You have to have some type of order, some organization in your home, in your life. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous and strong. So we do have to be on guard. And I guess you could say, keep your head on a swivel, spiritually and physically. Be ready for whatever. 1 Corinthians 14:33. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. So if there is disorder in your life, you got to fix it. Bring in that peace. 1 Thessalonians 5:6. Be on your guard, not asleep like the others. Stay alert and stay clear-headed. That's really good. Stay alert and stay clear-headed. The book of Proverbs is called the book of wisdom for a reason. It's basically common sense. And that's what wisdom is common sense. Proverbs 27:12 says, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. That's pretty good. If you're a prudent person, you foresee the future and whether it's going to be good or bad. But the simple person just keeps on going through life, and they suffer the consequences of not being prepared. Proverbs 21:20. The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Now that's an interesting scripture because the wise have wealth and luxury. And one of the reasons why they do have that wealth and luxury is because obviously, as the scripture says, they're wise. They know how to spend their money. They know what not to spend their money on. But the fool spends on whatever they can get. And it's like just throwing your money in the toilet. Proverbs 6:6-9. This is great. Take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. Learn from their ways and become wise. Don't you become wise by watching ants? Though they have no prince or governor or ruler to make them work, they labor hard all summer long, gathering food for the winter. But you, lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. That is awesome. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. And my thing is, when it comes to the church, I think our leaders in the church need to direct us more often on preparedness. And not just for preparing for, the second coming of Christ, or preparing our souls for heaven, however you want to word it, but preparing in the world that we live in now, physically. Spiritually, I think most of us have it down to a certain extent, but when it comes to physically, we have Christians that, oh, God will take care of it. God will take care of me. Everything will be fine. All I got to do is pray, and God will perform a miracle. And the thing is God's given us common sense. He's given us wisdom. He's given us the physical ability to make sure that during some sort of disaster, we have it covered. You can't put everything on God, saying God's going to take care of everything, because throughout the Bible, God's always told his people, or his men of God, or his women of God, you're going to have to do this yourself. Get to stepping, put one foot in front of the other, and then I'll work out the rest later on. But you got to do something. So it's like one of those things where we definitely have to be self-sufficient, self-reliant. We do trust in God. We do have faith in God. The thing is, when the shift does happen, are Christians going to be prepared? Are they going to have food and water for at least 3 months? If they have to, fortify their home and lock down because the world has gone even crazier than it is now, which it's going to happen. But are Christians really prepared? Are pastors in the churches actually spreading this message? Is be prepared spiritually, be prepared physically, be ready, because something's happening. The world has shifted. We are in the shift right now. And it's all upside down. So, what is the church going to do to prepare people in this world to be ready? Anyway, those are just a few things I had on my mind I've been thinking about for quite a while. Appreciate you watching and listening. Like and subscribe to Love and Life. And peace out.